Good morning. Before we get started, please like and subscribe. Please share my channel. Please comment whether you agree with me or not. I love having you here. Appreciate you very much. So thank you so much for being here. Today I wanted to talk about some things that are going on in our society. I think that a lot of people are talking about how society is breaking down or things are just getting worse and worse. And, you know, it seems like there's so much division in the United States where I live, political parties and, you know, people fighting against each other. And a lot of that seems, and there are breakdowns in all the government systems, the money system, you know, everything that we're experiencing right now seems to be, it's being broken down, or so it seems, so it appears to a lot of us. And you know, some people are saying that this is unique and this is the end of the world and this is it and we're in the end times, and other people are saying no, this is just history and it's happened before. You know, history repeats itself. We've gone through, you know, this world has gone through so many ups and downs, and I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because, you know, when you look back, I think that it's true that there have been many ups and downs. There have been many dark times in this world. I mean, when you think about the gladiators, think about people being thrown into a pit, you know, and people being thrown into a lion pit for entertainment, or gladiators, you know, put in there in the ring to fight so that people could be entertained by watching killings. And I mean, those things have happened. We've had the Crusades, we've had wars, there are so many different things that have happened in our life. I mean, not in our lifetime, but in the history of the world. And you know, you can't deny that the Holocaust was one of the worst times that humanity has ever experienced. These things seem to ebb and flow. It's almost like society and human beings break down and turn into monsters, and then they rise from that and become better for it, or at least more open or enlightened. I don't know what really happens, what positive things come out of those times, but you know, our society and the way that we're living right now is not the worst of times. It might be the worst of times that I personally have ever lived in my lifetime since I was born. It might be the worst of times in the life of somebody who's 20, obviously, because you know, if you were born 20 years ago or 30 years ago, you probably had it pretty nice up until now, and this looks really horrible in comparison to the beginning of your life. But when you go back in the history of all of mankind and the history of the world, the times we're in, the way that I'm looking at it is, yes, things seem bad in a lot of ways, but it's different. It's just another form of humans being humans and doing what humans do, and building their sandcastle and tearing it down, kicking it down. That's what humans do. We build a sandcastle of life, and we make life, you know, seem really wonderful for everyone, or most people are enjoying life, and then we have to come along and kick it down and start all over again. And so I kind of see this as one of those periods of time where that's what we're experiencing. I see people taking up sides, you know. At first I looked at politics like people are playing it like a team sport. When you watch two groups of guys watching a football game together, and one's on one team side and the other one's on the other, and the way that they're, you know, yelling and hollering and shouting, and it can even turn into fist fights over ball games. It's happened. And you know, you see sports are very aggressive and very competitive, and they can become violent. You know, people can become violent over their sports. But it's almost like it started out as two sports teams, and now it's almost turning into a gang mentality. It's gone from sports teams and drinking beer and eating pizza and watching the game and getting into a brawl with your buddies because of your team's losing or whatever. It went from that to almost a gang mentality where these particular people are evil, and not only are these particular people evil, like people demonize a certain whole entire group of people, then they say, well, they're evil, so they should be eradicated. They're evil, so they shouldn't live. They're evil, so we should get rid of them. That's when it becomes dangerous. When my phone rings, sorry about that. But anyway, that's when it becomes dangerous. That's when it becomes scary, and it can be downright terrifying when you have human beings breaking down to the point where they literally want to see the lives end of other human beings. I see it in, Democrats and Republicans saying this particular group are basically the devil and they should go. You see it. I see it in comments. Some of these comments are bots, I'm sure, but some of them are people behind keyboards as well. And that mentality, when human beings are breaking down to the point where their mentality will convince them that other human beings are so bad that they should be wiped off the face of the earth. A lot of people are saying that in this political environment in the United States, it's resembling the Nazi regime. And you know what? It is, because that's what happened. And a lot of people don't know what happened. I'm not a huge scholar on the subject, but I do know that there were folks who thought that the Jews were bad, evil people, and they were stealing all their money, and they were causing their businesses to fail. They blamed it on them. And then they went from blaming it on them to hating them, from hating them to wanting to get rid of them. And that's where that came. That's where how that happened. It's like, you're taking something from me. I hate you for it. I want to get rid of you, and that'll solve my problem. And then they take action on that. And that is a really, really, really scary place to be. When society is breaking down to the point where human beings really feel justified in wanting to see other human beings. Now, they may not personally want to go out there and take the lives, but they'll watch it happen and smile, and they'll think, well, that's a good thing. I've actually heard people say, well, if these people would just disappear off the face of the earth, that would be a good thing. And that's a breakdown in this life experience. That's a breakdown of the soul. That's a breakdown of, instead of seeing yourself as one, these are people who can't, don't, or won't view other people as just different versions of themselves, because that's what we are. We are all versions of each other. We are all part of the one, the whole. We are all a whole, a oneness. And the individuality, when people embrace their individuality to the point where they are not able to see the one anymore, that is what is considered to be hell. You're separating yourself from the one. That's the ego. The ego in this life experience is what continuously wants to separate us from the one, the all, the I am, God, the whole being that we all come from. When our ego tells us, no, me, mine, me and mine, I want to be an island. I want to be an individual. I want to be I want everybody else to leave me alone, because everything should be mine, and I don't want you to take from me. It's mine. That separation between, you are taking my stuff. Well, who is you? Are you taking my stuff, or am I just part of you? And I've got something inside of me that I need to maybe visit and do some correction on. Because if I'm looking at other human beings like you're taking from me, what am I taking from myself? And this is where it gets deep. This is where it gets very, down into the subconscious, the superconscious. What makes us us? What has caused me to think that you're taking something from me? What makes me afraid to give away whatever it is you want? Why am I holding on to it so tightly? What am I afraid of? And it normally comes down to fear, the fear of something. And that's where we were programmed, in the very beginning of our lives, we're programmed to have certain, tastes, certain preferences. We believe in certain things and we fear certain things. And our fears come from a place of whether it's abandonment or whether we were mistreated or talked down to, whatever it was that happened in our early years, in our developmental years, which are birth to age 7. As we were developing and growing as the human being that we are, things happened to us in our lifetime that caused us certain feelings of anger, maybe stuffed down anger or rage, feelings of helplessness, like something might have happened that made someone feel helpless, like they couldn't do anything about it, and then you've just got all this anger, fear of that happening again, fear of abandonment, fear of neglect, fear of abuse. All of these things turn into these fears that go way deep down inside, and they sit there and they stay in there, and they're just part of our, they become part of our decisions and part of our personality and part of who we are. But until we address those negative things about ourselves, what we're going to do is we're going to be pointing out, I just saw 11:11, we're going to be pointing out all the negative things about everybody else. And we're pointing at everybody else and all their faults and all the things they're doing against us and all of our grievances. We're pointing at other people because there's something in ourselves. There's something that hasn't been addressed in there. And if anyone is angry and furious and filled with rage against any other human being, I strongly, strongly advise that person to recognize that there are other human beings that you are despising, and look inside yourself at what it is you think they are going to do to you. I see a lot of what boils down to stuff. The Bible has a lot to say about stuff. By stuff, I mean our belongings, our possessions. They're called possessions in the Bible. And Jesus says, give all your possessions to the poor. Why does he say that? Does he mean literally go into your house tonight and load up a U-Haul and take it to some family who doesn't have as much as you do? Or is he trying to tell us that fear of losing our possessions can break down the very core of our soul, of the being of who we are, that connects us to God? Jesus is trying to tell us that we need to be willing to give anything up. If somebody takes your cloak, give them your shirt. If somebody slaps you on one cheek, turn the other. Let them slap the other one. Give to the poor. Give all of your possessions. Give them away. Why does he say those things? Because those are at the core of the things that make most people really angry with other people. If I say to somebody, don't come around here, you're trying to take my fill in the blank, why am I holding on to that so tightly? Is it more important that I hold on to that thing than that I love my brother? Or should I just love that person and say, one of my favorite sayings, and somebody used to say this, I can't remember who in my life used to always say this, but I just love it, and I adopted it, and I just love it. If somebody takes something from me, steals, my reaction to that, my response is, well, it's gone. I guess I'll either get another one or I'll just live without it, and hey, they must have needed it more than I did. I love that part. If somebody takes money from me, I don't think to myself, how dare you take my money? I think to myself, there's abundance on this earth. I'll get it some other way. That person must have needed it more than I did. If they're willing to steal and take it, they must have really needed it. So have at it. I'm sure that it'll either come back to me in some way, or I just won't need it. And if that's our attitude, if somebody takes from us and that's our attitude, we have no reason to be mad at them. Why would I be mad at somebody who's starving? If somebody has children who are hungry and that person comes into my house and takes my computer and they go pawn the computer for $150 so that they can feed their children, why would I be mad at them? They were trying to feed their children. Why would I be upset? To me, it's a computer. I have a job. If I need a computer, I can go out and buy another one, or I can just use my phone. And regardless of what it is, if it's a material possession, why would I be mad at somebody if they're in need. Now, some people take just because they're greedy and they just want all your stuff. Those are the people, they're not coming into your house and breaking in. The people that are usually picking your pocket or breaking in are normally not the ones who have very much. They're normally doing that out of desperation. Most people who are thieves are either drug addicts and they're hurting, they're in pain, physical pain without their drugs, or they have something, some kind of need that, they're so impoverished that they barely can eat or feed their children. So those are the ones that would commit crimes that they call petty crimes, or stealing from you personally. Then you have the greedy, the people that are stealing. They already have billions of dollars and they want to steal more. They have billions and billions and billions of dollars of their own, but that's not enough for them. They're thirsty. Their hunger, their thirst can never be quenched. And I feel bad for those people because they live in hell. They live in literally on this earth, in this earth experience, they are living in hell. Because if they have $20 billion and that's still not enough for them, and they have to take from the peasants and take money from the peasants, there's something wrong with them. There's something going on in there. There's something spiritually damaged. They have something inside of them that they have insecurities or fears of not having enough, or whatever it is inside of them. They're living in their own personal hell because of their greed. So rather than look at people like, how dare you? I look at people the way Jesus asked me to, in compassion. And, it's no fun being stolen from. I'm not going to try to say that I just gleefully say, oh, they took everything I had in my house. Yay, I have nothing. No, I don't do that. I'm not stupid. I mean, I go through it. I would go through the changes. If I walked in and there was nothing in my house, I'd be going through it. I'd be calling up my insurance company like, hey, I have nothing. I need clothes or something. Like somebody just took everything. But, I would work through it. I would live with whoever I needed to, a friend, or couch it, or whatever I needed to do until I could, over time, gain some things back. And I would trust and rely then on God, on this experience and I don't want to say reward me for giving grace to the person who stole from me, but if I'm putting out there that I'm not angry and upset and greedy and taking and holding on to something, to stuff, if I'm not holding on to it tightly and I'm just releasing it, more stuff is going to flow to me and through me, and I'll get what I need. God says that we don't need to worry about being clothed. If he clothes the birds, he'll clothe us. If he feeds the birds, he'll feed us. We don't need to worry about how we're going to get our necessities. And really what we need are our basic necessities. We don't need to hoard. We don't need extra stuff. Some of the things that person might have taken might be things that I wasn't even using. Maybe they cleaned out my house for me and I can have a few items of clothing in my phone and be good. Maybe that's all I need, because maybe God knows that I'm going to be traveling a lot. How can you travel when you have a whole storage, unit filled with a bunch of stuff? So maybe they did me a favor. But there are so many ways to spin negative things into positive things that will just help us to not see people as, you are taking from me, or I don't like you because of this, but just to have compassion for people and to give. You can't outgive God. We cannot outgive God. And by giving freely, we receive. It's reciprocal. It flows like that. When we hold on to things, we house ourselves, we wall ourselves in outside of God. We block out the all that is God, and that is hell. When we're doing that, that's what hell is on earth. So anyway, just wanted to share those things this morning. I'm going to get into the office, but I hope you're all having a great day today, and I will see you next time.